The Ancients' World. Chapter 401, Interconnecting Paths. We're not that far from Greshina at this point. About a day and a half, and according to the magical item, Sarah and Haley are remaining in one place. Meaning they've for sure reached wherever they need to be. Mommy, we've been after them for so long, will we even be able to recognize them? Marcus doesn't know how much his words hurt. They've changed their appearances and that of elves, same as us. I won't be able to tell who they are based on their looks if I see them in public. If I meet them in the place they're staying, it'll be easier to find it out. Listen, sweetie, Haley and Sarah may look different, but we'll find them all the same. I have not come this far to be stopped because I can't recognize my children. Marcus doesn't seem happy with my answer and moves on ahead of us. We ran into a roadblock of bandits, but we dispatched them. They wouldn't let us pass no matter what we tried, and that left of no other choice. I don't like having Marcus kill, it makes me sick inside, but that's the world we live in now. I'm thankful he understands what he's doing and knows that he should only do it when necessary. Chris has been doing all he can to help calm my drive to a more moderate level, but this is the closest we've been to Sarah and Haley, and I'm not getting sidetracked now. There have been enough of those, and it's time that I get to see my kids. Honey, don't be so upset with him. Chris misunderstands my feelings at this moment. I'm not upset with Marcus, and my sour mood is based on myself. The irrationality of a mother is something that people suffer from more than once in their life, and I'm one that has those irrational moments more than others. I'm not upset with Marcus, I'm upset with myself. He looks to me for more of an explanation, and I find it oddly cute. He's not experienced the moodiness that comes with being a woman and the overzealous and overprotectiveness that comes with being a mother. The emotional range that I have as a woman is far more volatile than his. I've been a very silly goose, to put it lightly. That's an understatement, but it's the kindest way I want to put it. I've been hard on myself lately, and it's for my own good. Hey, I don't know what you want me to say. I vowed to never lie to you, and I can't say that you haven't been like that since Sarah and Haley left. I can't help chuckling at the good excuse he's used to be blunt with me. His love for me is more than enough not to be angry with his opinion. He feels like he needs to do more, and that's my fault. I appreciate your candidness and know that I will always want the truth. Even if I don't want to hear it. Despite us being in our early 20s again, he still walks on eggshells regarding my age and weight out of instinct. I no longer have the body of a woman who's had 3 kids. Many would claim that I looked great, but I could spot the imperfections in my form from a simple glance in the mirror. Now that you'd brought the subject up, what do you think about how I've been acting? His question surprises me the same way my response to his did. He's not acted out of the ordinary. He's been the same as he's always been. The man that I love and cherish. Today is the day that Blezical and I are escaping from Greshina and leaving our mother and her madness. She's caused too much damage and is spiraling further into madness. We should hurry. There isn't much time left. We finish descending the final steps into the lowest levels of the palace, and we make our way to the entrance of the secret passageway. My hands land on the false wall, and Blezical helps me push the path open. We stand together in the old dusty hallway leading to our way out. We have a few hours to get far, and hopefully, that's enough to get away. My sister voices her hopes, and I agree with her in every sense. I don't know if we have that much time, but no reason not to be optimistic. We start running and moving at high speeds. We're both very fast and agile. When Mom catches on to what we're doing, she'll likely turn the country upside down and use our absence as an excuse to kill more people. She's right about that, but our fate is in our own hands. We can't worry about every life out there. We have to put ourselves first. Blezical is far more loving and caring than I am to the people we're meant to rule. While I do care for them, I don't care for them enough to risk my life and mind and soul for them. I'll not have the sins of my mother thrust upon me. I won't be around for when that's supposed to happen. Their fate is their own, Blezical. She nods a single time, running next to me. She's resolved herself to do this with me, and I'm glad. Perhaps one day, someone will end Mom. It's a sad thing to say and think, but that's the only way to stop her at this point. Will you forgive me for saying such things? I can't forgive myself. This is weighing harder on her than I thought. We can't stop and have a deep talk, but I can give her what she wants. We increase speed and continue down the path. I'll forgive you for anything, Blezical. You're not the only one feeling that way. Mom will need to be put down before she ever stops. There is only a matter of time left before she starts her crusade, and I'm hoping that my sister and I are out of the entire kingdom by that time. Sally stirs next to me as the sun shines into the windows of our room. Everyone else in the house should be getting up. This was the first night that Sally didn't need to stay attached to me to sleep. It may not mean much to many others, but that tells me she's all the safer on her own. Morning, lover. I can't help but smile and cringe at the way she addresses me. I don't think there is any way you can make saying lover sound sexy yet. That doesn't really work, does it? She acknowledges my funny look, and I start to full-on laugh. She's coming out of her shell, and I'm loving her more and more. Today is the day we're starting the plans. She's right about that, and she doesn't sound scared. Sally sounds relaxed. There is much to discuss once everyone is awake and many things to check and prepare for. Who knows what could go wrong between the time we prepare and plan to when we initiate the plans. Yet, we'll be moving on the palace and the Orvalo estate in the coming days when we know what we're doing. Her happy expression doesn't change at the mention of her family. She's more than ready to face them, and I find her more and more attractive. I see this new her. Chapter 402, Chaos erupts in Greshina. Everyone has agreed to the plan and scouting assignments. Sally and I are heading to the Orvalo estate to see what they have in terms of security and weaknesses. Terox, Helda, and Leela are going to check for additional information regarding the passageways that are under the city. Ashburn and Freskra are going to see about the security around the palace. Haley and Jasmine will find out more about the guard forces and what they have in terms of weapons, magic, and numbers. We all have our roles, and now isn't a better time to get started on all of this. Now that we know what we're doing, gather as much information you can, and we'll confer at the end of each day. This way, we're always keeping updated. We'll continue this course of action until we're prepared for an orchestrated attack on all of our targets. This is all good, but what do we do if we end up drawing suspicion? New faces around this area are bound to raise suspicion. Haley brings up a good point and one that has a risk to it. There is no way to lower the odds of suspicion to 0%. We all have ways to cover our faces and make sure that our identities are hidden. If you think that you might be drawing attention, back off for a bit and approach in a different way. To recon from the same places each day. Break patterns and keep them random. It's the best way to keep eyes off you. This is from my years of experience before my wish to come back in time. My eyes meet with everyone individually, and no one has any more questions. All right. Let's get this show on the road. Sally says anything before I can, and we all head for the door. As I open it, we're all surprised to see soldiers and guards going door to door. Helda tells all to go back and find places inside the house to keep out of sight. This is random and something that wasn't anticipated. I doubt we're the cause. We haven't done anything to raise any suspicion. Not for this kind of response. Sally rests next to me as we both look out the upstairs window in our room. We have our heads low and make sure that we're hard to see. There are more soldiers and guards than people outside right now. I have a bad feeling that we've been thrown a curveball, and now we'll have to adapt to new circumstances. Issues stemming outside our control, and there could be more trouble coming. There is a chance we might not even be able to proceed with everything we have planned for today. A sudden headache makes its way up the back of my head. A leader to one of the squad steps up and has a rigid posture. The Elven royal family has declared a lockdown of Greshina and the rest of the kingdom. Stay in your home until the lockdown is lifted. If you are caught walking around before 12 p.m. and 4 p.m., you'll be executed on the spot." The man stops his speech and steps away. He and his group make their way down to the next house, and now I know that we've not caused any problems. Whatever has happened, it's not because of us. I close the door and head back into the living room. "You can all come down now. I've got news." Multiple sets of footsteps come from parts of the house and make their way to me. After everyone gathers, they all look at me for an explanation. Good news is we can still scout and figure out our plans. Many are prepared to hear the bad news now. The bad news is a lockdown has been enacted, and we only have a 4-hour window between 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. every day now. Sarah grimaces, and other people have similar reactions. This puts a large anchor on any plans and actions we take here in Greshina, and since the whole kingdom is locked down, something significant must have happened. Do we have any idea on what caused this? This has come out of nowhere with no indication something like a lockdown was coming. Haley gives her brother a strange look, but not something I haven't seen before. That means we'll be able to leave once it turns noon in about 10 minutes. They also said anyone found wandering around the city outside these times will be executed on the spot. This is what disturbs me the most. While there are no homeless in Greshina, there are people that live in areas of the city that aren't secure as is. Most jump between homes in the middle of the night to escape the nobles' enforcers for extortion. This has unwittingly benefited everyone above the middle class, and everyone below will suffer. We can stick to the plan, but don't spend too much time scouting now. Never more than an hour at a time, any more, and the increased security will be on you. I agree that's the best option. My sister and I have successfully escaped Greshina, and we're in one of the largest forests in the northern area of the continent. Even if a search party is sent here, will be impossible to find. We've been running since we entered the passageway, and only now are we walking to take a break. Alessandra is leading in front of me by a few steps. Mom has probably taken drastic measures to find us, and while our odds of getting out of the entire Elven Kingdom aren't 100%, they're much higher now that we've made it out of Greshina and into Galeria. To think that this forest is home to monsters and dungeons, keep on your toes, sister. Galeria is a dangerous forest, and that is why we chose it. The monsters and creatures in this forest will keep anyone that might come looking for us off our backs for some time. It's a double-edged sword, though. We've already had to fight some powerful monsters, but Alessandra and I working together is hard to beat. Yeah, something so beautiful can hide ugly things. Such things exist in droves with the elves. They've run away from me, they've abandoned me here, alone. Gods damn it. My fist crashes through my office table, and I slump down in my chair. Why would you leave? You must have been taken. It's the only explanation. They wouldn't have left voluntarily. My daughters know how important they are to my plans, and they wouldn't have done this. I'm alone in my office now, and there is no one here to care for me. I have all hands working on finding my daughters. Even my personal staff. I'm pretty much alone in this massive palace. The resistance had to have captured them. How did they get into the palace? My emotions and mind continue to spiral out of control. With the activation of my plans so close, having my daughters taken puts multiple problems on purging the half-blood. I lean back in my chair and look at the ceiling. Without them I can't start cleansing my people. I need them. My will slips, and I find tears flooding out my eyes. I've lost my daughters. They're out there somewhere, without protection. Chapter 403, A Better Future for Few. We've set up camp inside a cave for the night, and as much as I want to keep traveling through the night, it's better not to lurk in the Galeria forest after nightfall. The strongest monsters come out at this time, and keeping in one spot and secluded is the best thing you can do to stay safe. It's not foolproof, but it's a way to handle the situation we're in. Blezical is curled up next to me, and the rain outside the cave is visible. We're nice and dry, and it's rare for storms to happen in the Elven Kingdom. What do you think Mom is doing right now? I've been trying not to think about it. She was on the verge of moving forward with her plan, and I don't want to be anywhere near a city, town, or village for the purge of half-breeds. I wrap my arm around my sister and gently rub her shoulder, trying to comfort her. Escaping from our mother and her armies isn't an easy task, but we're already making huge ground. I don't know anymore, bless she's lost her mind, the grip on reality is gone, and she might lash out. We need to be far away when that happens. My sister holds back her tears the same as me. We still love our mother dearly, and it breaks my heart knowing what she's trying to do. A flash of lightning lights up the entrance of the cave, and a blast of thunder rocks the ground. The cave is sturdy enough to handle the lightning. Do you think it's storming in Greshina? Probably can't say for sure, Blez and I didn't experience many storms growing up. The rain gets heavier, and as more lightning flashes and thunder rocks the world, monsters fighting each other can be heard in the distance. Monsters are territorial, and Jaliria is no different. If it's storming in Greshina, it'll be good for us. It'll wash away any tracks we might have left. The dust from the passageway left footprints as we left. If the storm is at Greshina, then it's washed away the only clues to where we're at. Blez stops talking, and I look to see her eyes closed. I wouldn't mind getting some sleep, but I don't think it'll be easy given the thunder. Blez could always sleep through the few storms we had growing up. I'd stay awake until they were finished. I don't know if it was out of fear. I never felt scared when I heard thunder. It was just something inside me that liked staying awake for storms. Remember when Dad died? Blez wasn't asleep after all, but her eyes are still closed. Do you think that what happened to Dad is what's driven her to do this? I know that it plays a major role in her madness. Alessandra hasn't answered me yet, and I think it's because it hurts too much. In a way, Alessandra hasn't gotten over Dad's death. I've moved on, but she's similar to Mom in that way, still haunted by his passing. Yet, it's a big part of why she's doing this. It hurts to think about him. Alessandra was closer to our dad than I was. It wasn't because he was a bad father to me or that he didn't love me as much. It's because she's a daddy's girl, and I wasn't that attached to my parents. Not like she was to Dad. Do you think he'd be happy with us leaving like this? Her arm tightens around me. She makes sure not to hurt me, but her discomfort with my question is easy to see. I open my eyes to see her biting her lips hard and tears falling from her eyes. She's quick to try and dry them. He'd probably have helped us, Blez. That's what makes this situation so fucked. Our mom isn't the person that our dad loved and married after his death. All the anger and hate for half-breeds blossomed. Yeah, he was always so kind and supportive of the half-bloods. Many nobles and wealthy merchants hated him for his sympathetic views towards all of our people. Not just the ones of pure blood. Remember that time he told us that story of him being saved by half-breeds at the border walls, how they changed his life and views about the Elven Kingdom? She doesn't answer and decides to stay silent. I don't blame her for not wanting to talk about this anymore, and I miss Dad so much. If there were anyone that could pull Mom from her dark pits, it would be him. He'd only have to look at her, and she'd lose all her feelings for half-breeds. Mom and Dad loved each other more than they loved us, and that's not bad. It helped us as kids. It showed us what love was. Lightning flashes again, and thunder rocks my body. The howling of battling monsters deeper in the forest continues, and I find sleep creeping on me. You shouldn't let it eat at you forever, sister. Dad would want you to let go of the pain you feel about his death. Move forward. She hugs me a little tighter as the words come out of my mouth. We've made the best out of the 4 hours we had to scout out our targets today, and we'll have another 4 hours tomorrow. The Orvalo estate has heavy security and powerful magical barriers that you can't get through just by jumping over the property line. I hate them. The rain and thunder outside are drowned out from the words I hear from Sally. There is a heavy storm over Greshina, and it's relaxing given how stressful today has been with the change in plans. We all hate someone out there, Sally. It's fine to hate someone that's committed horrible things against you. Her voice isn't shaking or weak. It's even and has a strength in it. In my eyes, the Orvalos aren't her family. She can hurt them and attack them. Punish them for everything they've done. I know that I have an evil and sadistic streak in me, but I'd rather have a monster in me that I can bring out any time than be weak and considered prey to those that are strong. Be a monster, but one that's in control. I refuse to be prey to anyone again. Not to life, bad fucking luck, some twisted sense of destiny. Sally knows what that means now, and she's got her own monster in her that she can take out any time she needs. 'Cause without that monster, you'll be an absolute victim to anyone that has that monster. You've already lost, and I'm not having that happen to me again. It was hard to not just charge and start killing, but I controlled myself. That's perfect. That's what she needs and has. The control needed for that monster is hers, and she has the restraint and disciple to wield it with wisdom and intelligence. I get what you mean, and believe me when I say this. I'm proud that you held back and took strategically and tactically smart moves. Thinking of it as a chess game. That's what this situation is, and it's a good example. Chess exists in the ancients' world, and therefore, Gaia. Sally might not have played a chess game before, but that doesn't mean I can't teach her using chess as an example. I know that she's heard of it and knows that strategy and tactics are essential to winning. Chapter 404, The Storm Weighs Heavily. Setting up a tent in the pouring rain wasn't fun, but now we're slowly getting dry. Luckily, our tent has a waterproof enchantment on it. After setting it up, it was dry inside and dried us so we wouldn't still be wet. This storm came out of nowhere. It frustrates me, and my voice is laced with that frustration. Marcus didn't want to keep walking in the rain. Despite how much I want to find my other two kids, Marcus has his needs too, and a child's needs always come before their parents. No kidding, it's good that we spent extra money on this tent when we picked it up crossing those snow and ice-filled lands to the border wall. I'm guessing Haley and Sarah have the same type of tent. Since they're in Greshina, it's a good chance they're staying in a house or in. Sorry this has happened, honey. But we'll wait for the storm to pass to keep moving. Traveling in the conditions outside won't be easy. Rain is hitting our tent hard as he says that, and Marcus is cuddled up next to me. He's clinging to me as his eyes are closed. Marcus is my youngest and the baby of our family, and I treat him like that even though he's getting older. It's hard to watch the kids you gave birth to and love growing up and not needing you anymore. Have you given what we talked about a thought? My sudden question is referring to us having another baby. My husband looks at me, confused. Seems he hasn't been thinking about it. I don't blame him. We've been so busy and preoccupied that there isn't much room to think about things like that. I'm sorry, honey. You'll have to refresh my memory about what I was supposed to think about. He's not going to pretend that he remembers, and I'm glad that he doesn't feel like he needs to. He sees my smile grow and chuckles with me, and it's funny when you think about it. He scoots over and wraps his arm around me. What you were supposed to think about was the idea of us having another kid. His expression changes, and it's one of doom. I can't help laughing, and he places his face on his palm. We don't have to have another kid, but it's something to think about. I'd love to have another baby, but that's my own desire for someone to depend on me and love me as my children do. Marcus won't need that in a couple of years, and he'll start becoming independent of me. Would you be upset if I said I haven't? He sees my smile and discovers this isn't that serious. He takes a deep breath and waits for me to reply to him. It's okay. Just give it some thought from this point on. It may not seem like a great idea now, but we're our bodies back in their prime. I make good points, but those aren't reasons in themselves as much as I'd want him to want another kid with me. I can't force him to feel that way. My eyes drift to Marcus, and he's sound asleep. He's a sign that there's no need to rush this decision. My fears about Marcus not needing me anymore and leaving on his own journey are years from now. Until that time comes, I'll enjoy what time I have with him. Oh, thank God. I thought you'd be mad about that. My attention is back on my husband. The lightning flashes and lights up our tent, and thunder shakes the ground and rings our ears. Marcus jolts up and prepares his fire for a fight. I wrap him in my arms and hold him. It was just thunder. No one's attacking, he relaxes and stops his fire. The rain hammers the outside of the tent, and he pushes off from me and lays back down. Chris hugs me from behind and pulls me from Marcus's side. Come over here and lay with me. Take your mind off our kids and think about yourself. Think about who you are without them. He brings me down with him, and I lay my head on his chest. His words echo in my head, and he's right about trying to find out who I am outside of my children. Sarah is letting me use him as a pillow as he normally does. My confidence in myself is at an all-time high, and I don't need Sarah next to me to feel safe. I still love his company, but I'm not clingy anymore. Have you thought about what you'll say to them when you're face to face? Sarah almost startles me at the sudden break in silence. His question is a subject that I've been giving a lot of thought to. As much as I want to make a speech, I think the best way is to tell them who I am and say I'm getting my revenge. That's simple and effective. I don't know, something short and quick. He lets out a single chuckle and runs his hand through my hair. It feels good when he touches me like this. Meeting the people that betrayed my mother and damned to the life that I had will be a moment I'll savor for the rest of my life. I wish I could help with that, but I've never been through what you have, and no matter how hard I try, I'll never know what you truly experienced in the past. All I can do is try my hardest to understand and help you. That's already more than enough. He doesn't know how much it means when a person looks past the things that have happened to you that others would consider a stamp of shame. He sees me for me, and I adore and love him for that. You do more than I could ever ask every single day, Sarah. My life and future was saved because of you. He's the center of my world. I love him. I feel a kiss on the top of my head, and I look up at him. Our eyes meet, and I feel a heat rise in me. I crawl up, and my lips lock with his. My heart instantly starts to race, and my eyes get heavy. We spend a couple of minutes kissing and pulling away for air. We part for a final time, and I find myself straddling him, looking deep into his eyes. I prefer his natural eye color more, not his elven looks. His white hair and attractive ears are something that I do like. If we do this, others will get mad at us. I know what he means, and as badly as I want him, we can't do this. I don't know how to be quiet with Sarah. He makes me feel good from sex. He's the only one to ever do that to me. We got a lot of scouting done today, and we'll keep it for the next few days. A lot has happened since we got to Greshina. We still don't know why the entire Elven Kingdom is on lockdown, but we're not going to let some time constraints and curfews get in our way. When do you think the rain will stop? Jasmine and I have been silent and listening to the sounds of the storm. It's been relaxing, and I'd instead not answer her. If possible, I wish it'd stay like this the time we're here. Chapter 405, Word Gets Out. Terox and Melimora are the only ones up with me. Everyone else is still in their bedrooms. I don't know if they're awake or not, but since we can't leave our safe house until noon, then there is no reason to leave a comfortable place. Why do you think the Elven Kingdom is in lockdown? Terox and Meli are having a conversation about why this is all happening. Their guess is as good as mine. The only time a lockdown is enacted for the entire kingdom is when a severe security breach has occurred. I think someone important was kidnapped. It has to be someone very important too. It's the best thing I can think of. Terox responds to Meli's question with the same answer I'd come to. The Elven royal family is the only authority that can enact a kingdom-wide lockdown. Rulers in other cities and towns can lock down their own cities in emergencies, but that's the limit to their power. That makes the most sense, but wouldn't they be scrambling more guards and soldiers if the person was that important? That's a great counter-argument, Meli. If a person of importance were kidnapped, soldiers and guards would kick down doors and search building by building. The only reason I can think of not doing that is from how important the person is and how much embarrassment the royal family will endure from losing someone of such high power in the kingdom. The strata of politics is something that I about in some regards, but not everything. Perhaps a powerful noble has tried a coup, or there is a dispute in land claims. Then maybe it's a drill? Maybe they're preparing for someone to arrive. T.A.W brings up a good point too, and one that makes the most sense so far. Nothing is set in stone yet. We don't know anything, and I doubt we'll know anything anytime soon. As much as I love discussing politics. They both look at me in an insulted fashion at the insinuation that they do. I'd like to talk about something else. We all gathered important information yesterday in our scouts, but I know we don't have enough yet. They roll their eyes at me. I know what it's from. It's because I'm always focused on the task at hand and never really laying back and relaxing. Not if I have a choice anyway. Well, what do you want to talk about? Not like I can see any interesting conversations in that head of yours. Melly is quick to make a joke about my lack of casual conversation, and T.A.W looks like she's ready to join in on the fun. Being made fun of isn't something that I like or tolerate, but I can make an exception when it comes to Melly and T.A.W. Besides, it's better than what they were talking about. Knowing her, it's about mapping the best route and the most efficient way to handle enemies. I resent the fact that's exactly what I want to talk about, and my pride won't let me speak now. All I can do is sigh, and they proceed to laugh harder. Nailing it right on the head the first time is funny in this context. Okay, you two had your fun. Now talk about something else that isn't about politics or my lack of casual conversation skills. I'm glad that they relent and decide to focus on something else, and the subject this time is Sally. Sally has changed a lot in the last 24 hours, and it's thanks to Haley and Sarah pushing her out of her comfort zone and instilling confidence in her. Sally has an air about her now. Like she can take on any challenge thrown her way. It's nice to see her not need Sarah so much. T.A.W is right about that. Seeing her gain new confidence was a special event in my eyes. Sarah did the right thing in pushing her to be independent and strong. Sally needed that if she's to face the family, the damned her mother and her to a base life as slaves. Yet, she's impressed me more than I ever thought she could. It does her justice having the confidence to take care of herself in this city. Melly doesn't know how much her words match with her. Sally isn't weak outside Greshina. Being so close to the family and people that caused her horrible childhood made her lose her willpower and mental fortitude. Along with any confidence she had built getting to this point, but now all those are gone. You're both right about that. Soon, she'll face her family and do what she needs for closure. I interject in the conversation too. While talking about people when they're not around isn't my style, I'm okay doing it when it's positive things to say. I only have positive things to say about Sally anymore. She's a sweet, kind-hearted, and caring girl that can defend herself and show cruelty if she needs to. That's a sign of an apex predator. That's what I think when I think of Sarah. Now Sally is the same way for me. Sarah and I are watching from an elevated position today, on top of a tall building looking into the Orvalo estate. We have a clear view of all the guards and their patrol patterns. It looks like nothing has changed in terms of patrol patterns since yesterday. This is good. They lack on security. Sarah speaks, but I'm hardly listening. All I can do is think about charging in there and slaughtering all of them. But Sarah telling me we have to do this smart holds me back. Yet, does that mean we'll get to attack sooner? As much as I want that to be true, we still have to wait on the others as well. Their scouting might not be going as smoothly as ours, which means it'll take longer. He shakes his head, but he has a small smile. Like he's expected me to react this way. Yes, but that depends on everyone else too. Without a coordinated attack, nothing will go smoothly. We'll find ourselves fighting one of the strongest armies and fighters in all of Gaia. We both know that Sarah can take them easily. It's about an easy win, not a hard one. Sarah and I could take out every living thing in Greshina, but that's not fair. There are innocent people here, and even if it's a little, they don't deserve to be lopped in with the others we're after. Yet I know it's so hard standing here being so close to those monsters and not being able to do anything. He nods his hand and slings his arm over my shoulder. It's getting close to the curfew that everyone has to follow, and I've learned a lot about the palace security with Ashburn and Freskra. The reason for the lockdown is because Princess Olisandra and Princess Blezical have gone missing. I stop in my tracks as I overhear a conversation. Freskra and Ashburn do the same, and we all look at each other. I don't know if I heard that right. Someone actually kidnapped the 2 crowned princesses of the Elven Kingdom. Don't believe in such rumors, not until they're confirmed. The man's friend responds, but what was said makes sense. Not only does this complicate our plan, but it means 2 of our targets aren't here. This is becoming a shitstorm, along with all the rain still coming down. Chapter 406, Princesses Missing. Talk about the biggest fucking wrench I've ever seen tossed right in our plans. If we're to succeed in this task of killing the royal family, the princesses must be eliminated too. If they're not here, all our work will be in jeopardy of being undone in the future. Helda states exactly what's going through my mind. This is a shitstorm. The rain is heavy outside, and it shows no signs of stopping. Droplets are hitting the windows hard, and thunder and lightning roar through the sky. There is nothing we can do about it. We need to adapt to the new problems and change. We'll focus on the Queen and her allies. They're likely long gone by now. It's not the best situation. It's one of the worst things that could have happened to us. 2 of our targets have gone missing, and you can argue they're more important than the Queen. Once the princesses are dead, there will be no bloodline left. Now that option is no longer possible. Why can't things just be fucking easy for once? Haley lashes out and slams her hand on the table we've gathered around. Not everything that's happened today is bad news. All the information we learned about guards, security, patterns, the works. It's valuable, and it'll help us. Relax, sis. Sometimes, things don't go perfectly, which is a perfect example of that. Since they're gone, we can focus on Queen Orizox and the Orvalos. The disappearance of 2 targets narrows our target list down for now. Sally has been quiet through this, and I know why. She doesn't care about killing the royal family and freeing the Elven Kingdom. Not as much as confronting and killing her family. What do you think, Sally? I want everyone's perspective. She lifts her eyes from the hard stare into the table and looks at me. Her eyes become gentle. She leans back in the chair she's sitting in and contemplates her answer. It's good for us. That's a good point, actually. With the Queen distracted trying to find her daughters, it'll be easier to get to her. She'll be less vigilant of her own security. That's an insight that I needed. Everyone exchange looks, and we agree this isn't bad news. This is great for our efforts to eliminate the Queen and the Orvalo family. Yeah, I agree with Sally. I think we should capitalize on this soon and strike hard. We should move our plans forward. Terox decides to speak, and her idea is something that I love. I don't know how possible it is, but the advantage of attacking in a moment of weakness is powerful. Never did I think this discussion with current events would change the direction of our plan to move it forward. I thought we'd have to wait and plan. Question is, do we have enough information on our enemy's forces to deliver a concise blow? Ashburn speaks about what I want to talk about too. There is a lot that can go wrong if we screw it up because of this. There is silence as his question is contemplated, and I've come to a conclusion, but I'm not the decision maker. We're working together, and everyone should be considered. Striking while the iron is hot is the best move we can make right now. Risky? Yes. Rewarding? More so. I throw in my 2 cents, and this starts to spark everyone to speak about what they think. It takes a couple of minutes, but everyone gets on the same page and believes striking sooner than later is better. Since we've reached an agreement, we need to decide the best time to strike. We all know our targets, but since 2 princesses are gone, that's more power for other tasks. It's already been decided that Sally and I are taking on the Orvalo estate. We spend the next hour talking about who goes after who and what to do when a certain target has been killed. All of our planning and plotting has come to an apex. Then it's decided. We'll sneak into the palace through the passages under the tunnel, and Sarah and Sally will attack the Orvalo estate. Helda summarizes in a brief manner what we're doing. All of this is occurring tomorrow, and when we do this, the Elven Kingdom will be free and in shock for a while. Alright, let's get some rest for the night and prepare for our attack in the morning. We'll strike before noon. It'll limit civilian casualties. This lockdown has helped us in another way. It'll keep the innocent common folk out of the way. We all head to different parts of the safe house and take some time to ourselves. Sally is lying next to me, silently looking at the ceiling and in her own head. She's not clinging to me, and that's a good sign she's ready for tomorrow. Am I a sick person for being excited to kill them? The moral debate in her has begun. I've done this before, and it's not bad. She's ready to do this and committed, but killing your family isn't something you do every day. No, you're not, Sally. Not to me. We all face our demons, and it's fine to be excited about beating them. She turns her head towards me and smiles. Mom is going to love her when they meet. That's a long time from now, though. It's exciting to think that we're about to liberate an entire kingdom come morning. I know that this is going to be remembered forever in annals of history. I'm going to be immortalized in Gaia. Do you think the nobles are strong? Jasmine is assigned to target a group of nobles that are staying in the palace right now. They're supporters of Queen Orizox. Our task isn't that simple. Once we're done with our group of targets, we're meeting up with the other and taking on the Queen herself. I'd be able to kill her, but that's something that Helda wants. I'm going to back her up in case the Queen proves too strong for her. Sarah and Sally will be off taking care of their own targets. Sally has been waiting for this for a very long time, and it's not like she needs to wait that much longer. She'll have revenge for what happened to her and her mother. Once this is done, she'll be able to move on with her life. No, nobles won't be that strong. They'll be easy to kill. My simple answer doesn't satisfy Jasmine, but she accepts it regardless. Terox and Melimora are playing the shattering, and I'm enjoying the time that I've spent with them. Despite my recent problems with Terox, I'm glad I could let go of my stubborn pride and see the truth. In case I do end up dying in battle tomorrow, I want to savor these moments now. Haley will back me up, but the Queen has lots of powerful items in the treasury vaults. There are good odds that I and others won't come out of this unscathed. I'm planning to get her before she even knows what's happening. Taking her down when all her allies are dead and taken care of. Kman. You play that card every time, and I can't do anything about it. It pisses me off. I can't help laughing a little. They're my sisters. I'm glad to have known them. Chapter 407, Night before final fight in Greshina 1. Terox, Helda, and Melimora sound like they're having fun with the shattering. Every time it sounds like they're having a blast, Sally jitters in excitement. You don't have to lay here with me. Go and play with them. In an instant, she's already up and out the door. I can't help laughing at how badly she wanted to play with them. Didn't even bother saying goodbye. That's rare. I'm now alone and left with my own thoughts about tomorrow. All this work for Sally is going to pay off, and after we're done here, we'll be heading to the Kingdom of Avalon for my tier-up quest. I don't want to know how difficult my second tier-up quest is going to be. I can only assume that it'll be something I'll die from. I haven't died yet in this life, which means I haven't lost a level yet. Doing the tier-up quest raises that. It'll be adjusted to my level, meaning I'll be facing things that can kill me and tank my attacks. I'll have to do it alone. Haley would be the only one that can help me, but she hasn't decided if she's coming with Sally and me after this. She has Jasmine to consider. Jasmine hasn't made a choice about anything after this either. Terox, Helda, Melimora, and everyone else will be staying here to lead the Elven Kingdom and people to a better life. Meaning after we're done, we'll be parting from these friends that we made. I wonder what kind of work they have ahead of them. Rebuilding the Elven Kingdom from its foundations won't be easy. My eyes close, and I think about my journey up to this point. I've done good, but I've done more bad than I should have. I've shown heartlessness and an obsession with power and winning. I've taken credit for people's accomplishments. Blue Chaos, especially. Without everything he posted on the forums, I wouldn't have everything that I have now. Sally knows some of the truth, but Haley knows most of it. How I've rewritten history in my favor and the cost that act had. Billions of lives. Babies, children, adults, and elderly, all of them were equally annihilated in the collision those are on my head. I've bounced between accepting responsibility for my actions and denying it too. In some ways, I'm more like my mother, the same denial of responsibility and reactions. Talk about a hit to my pride and ego. I know I'm her favorite, and it's hard to see anything about my mom as bad. The things that I do see as bad I inherited from her. No matter how much I want to deny it. Haley is a chaotic mess sometimes, but that's just who she is. Thinking about my family has me wondering what they're doing. Dad said they'd be going on their own adventures back when I met up with them on the player continent. Mom was devastated when we left, but I think she's doing good. She's having fun out there with her husband and Marcus. Knowing them, they're probably doing something unreasonable. There are a lot of people having fun out there now, but I'm not in the mood to get wrecked by Sally in the shattering. It's not fun playing against her. Jasmine has decided to join them, leaving me alone in our room. My mind is empty right now. Nothing to think about seriously or for a long time. I'm pretty tired, to begin with. Hearing them having fun is making it harder to sleep. Not because I want to have fun with them, but because I can't sleep. The good thing is they can be as loud as they want. No one is going to come over and give us a hard time. Not with the lockdown and everyone confined to their homes. The guards might say something, but they'll all be dead tomorrow. We're attacking earlier than I thought we would, but that's great, in my opinion. Less time consumed doing all this grunt work. My brother and Helda would consider this necessary, and in a sense, I agree. I also think that too much preparation can be a bad thing too. They don't know that wasted time planning is important too. That's just the difference between my brother and me. Boy, we've come a long way since those times Mom and I were ready to scratch each other's eyes out. I was a terrible daughter, and the future me, from what Sarah told me, isn't better. The thought of becoming a crack whore still makes me sick, but he told the truth. I know it. I'm glad that my parents will never know this truth, and I'm glad that I was smart enough to see that Sarah was different. That he had an advantage no one else had. My confrontation with him led to the knowledge I have now. I don't know nearly as much as my brother. Knowing what I know already haunts me. I couldn't imagine what it's like for Sarah. All the things he knows much fester in the back of his mind. I have a feeling that he's a bomb that's ready to explode if someone presses the right buttons. And that scares me. Sarah has a lot of power. He's basically a god compared to the rest of the players and normal NPCs. If he were to unload his trauma into a violent outrage, nothing short of another god could stop him. I've been thinking about going with him to the Kingdom of Avalon. Jasmine wouldn't mind going with us. The bad part is we can't all ride on Sarah. 3 separate people using him as a flying carpet won't work. However, there are other options. Airships leading out towards Avalon, and teleportation gates outside the Elven Kingdom since they're not here. I need to go to Avalon, too, just like every other player out there. It's an important point for all classes and tiering up. You must be thinking about the same thing as me. My brother's voice raises me from my lazy stupor, and I lock eyes with him. Despite our differences in personality, we both like time to ourselves. Sally lays down her card, and I cringe as I see it. Marking another win for her and another bitter loss for Melly. God's damn it. You're pulling wins out of your ass. There is no way any of us are good enough to beat Sally at the shattering. She's won 5 games in a row, and we're all getting sour about it. Her cards are not ones you'd win with, but the way she plays them every time makes me want to throw a rope around her neck and string her up. Oh, come on guys. It's getting easier every single time. At this point, I can win with my eyes closed. Sally's words have their intended effect, and we're all giving her a look of death. She smiles in a confident, almost cocky, way as she claims her cards and prepares for another game. Okay, I'm getting the next shot at her. I'm sick of this shit. Jasmine takes Mellimora's seat as Mellimora gets up and leaves to cool off. There is fun in this, but not the same fun Sally is having right now. My eyes look towards the doorway, and I see a fuming Melly enter the bathroom and the slamming of the door. Raig. The next sound I hear after her scream of anger is glass exploding. She's punched the mirror in the bathroom. It's rare to see her that mad. I look at Sally, and she has a satisfied smile on her face. I wish someone were good enough to beat her. Chapter 408, Night before final fight in Greshina 2. Haley and I haven't spoken much since I decided to join her in a moment of silence. Everyone else is in the living room having fun. I don't really know why I came here, just the brother in me sensing a lot was going through my sister's head. She's staring up at the ceiling, and I'm leaning against the wall and have my legs crossed. Talking isn't that rare between us, but when it's something deep or meaningful, then that's rare. I can't read her mind, and I'm glad that I can't. But, there are moments that I wish I knew what was going through her head. How do you cope with it? I'm taken from my silent thoughts, and I look at Haley. She's locked eyes with me, and I can see the pain in them. I know what she's talking about, my knowledge of the future and everything that I know. All the things I had to go through to get here. I just do. My answer frustrates Haley. She leans up and crawls her way over, and leans against the wall with me, relaxing her back against it. It's been a long time since we sat together like this, like we were kids again. We got along pretty well, but when Haley hit puberty, things got rough. She was mean and spiteful, and always finding something to be mad at. That's not an answer, Sarah. That's a deflection. She can call it whatever she wants, but it's the truth. I have to take it and move forward. There is nothing to be done. So staying in the past will doom me. I don't answer her again, which causes her to look away and lean her head on my shoulder. It's weird to be like this, supporting each other. We've both changed. I don't know if matured is the right word. Suffered is the closet I can think of. Her learning the truth about her future self has affected her deeply. More than I thought it could. The room fills with laughter coming from the living room, and it lasts for a few seconds. I know I've said it before, but I'm sorry, Sarah. There aren't words to describe how I feel. I can't imagine what you're really going through. I don't want to admit it. But that means more to me than I want her to know. The foolish male pride in me. She's not the one to be sorry, and me being sorry about what I've done won't get me anywhere. It's time I move on from bouncing between accepting responsibility and rejecting it. Leave it all behind me and look towards the future. Earth is gone, and the sins I committed against it along with it. Yeah, I'm sorry too. She moves her hand up to her eye and dries a forming tear. We bottle things up and keep them buried until they explode. I know that I was at risk for that. Letting go of everything I've done is what's making that explosion stop. Fuck, since when did we become so soft? A good laugh escapes both our throats as Haley brings us back to who we usually are. She stops leaning her head against my shoulder and gives it a whack. The pouring rain has lightened to a softer drizzle, giving us the time and opportunity to continue traveling. Marcus and Chris don't like traveling at night, but we're strong enough to take on anything that's thrown our way. Mommy, why can't we sleep for the night? My youngest son tugs on my heartstrings, and I feel my resolve for moving tonight waver. My zealous nature to catch up with my kids has been driving me for a long time now, and now that I'm on the fine stretch, I don't want to stop now. Come in, honey, we need to take some time too. They're not going anywhere. Chris sides with Marcus, and I don't blame them for taking a united front against me. I would if the roles were switched. I stop in my track and turn to them, and the stop too. You two can set up camp and rest for the night. I'm not going to stop now. Not when they're so close. Chris rolls his eyes as if expecting this, which surprises me. I've never made a decision like this before. He picks up Marcus and places him on his back, looking back at me and encouraging that I move forward. Marcus closes his eyes fast, and Chris is moving ahead of me now. Since you're so dedicated to this idea, I'm not getting in the way of it. I want to see them too, and if that means a sleepless night and carrying Marcus, then I'm fine with that. He's made so many compromises for me that he should have never had to make. A part of me hates for pushing so hard all the time, and another part is grateful that I do. I wouldn't have gotten this far and so close to Sarah and Haley without that constant push. You take my breath away, Chris, you really do. He turns his head and looks down at me with a beaming smile. He's the love of my life and soulmate. We came this far together, and I'll never leave my husband behind for anything. He's the father of my babies and the reason I know what true love is. I'm glad you think so, and I can say that you do the same to me every time I see you. He knows what to say when to say it. If Marcus weren't here, I'd jump his bones like no tomorrow. We've set up camp on a cliff edge overlooking a large portion of the forest leading into the mountains. Having high ground in an environment like this is important. Blezical and I haven't been talking much, but it's not for any reason of negative origin. We just haven't found anything to talk about since we've left home. In truth, it's nice. The only things we discussed were based on what our futures as rulers would be, and now since that part of our lives are gone, I feel free. That I'm not bound by some predetermined role that I didn't get to pick. That I'm not a pawn of fate. Why has it been raining too much? It's let up, but it's still soggy and muddy. That's something we both hate about the rain. It's not heavily storming anymore, but it's come into a sort of calm. I know it's not over. The clouds outside our tent are dark and unmoving. Why are you asking me? I'm not a mage or seer. I can't know what's causing all this. She snorts in annoyance at my answer, and I just smile at her. It's fun to mess with her sometimes. She's not a fan of it, but when she messes with me she thinks it's a hoot. Part of being sisters. No need for the sarcasm. I figured I could entertain this boring and empty silence. Good luck with that, sister. If it were that easy, I would have done it by now. There isn't much to be talked about. Not yet, but once we start having our adventures outside the border walls, there will be plenty to talk about. I'm looking forward to this next part of my life. It's not written in stone of what might happen. And that excites me. Chapter 409, Night Before Final Fight in Greshina 3. I've left Haley alone, and I'm now in my room again, and the sounds coming from the living room have gradually died down. Meaning that everyone should be getting ready to go to bed and get plenty of rest for tomorrow. I hear footsteps approaching the door to the bedroom, and it's swung open. I'm met with a smiling Sally. Knowing her, she's dominated in all the games she played. From that smile on your face, I take it you enjoyed winning all those games. She nods her head with more energy than someone coming to bed should have. The shattering isn't my game, and I don't have a problem with that. Besides, getting some time to myself and time to speak with Haley was more important to me. Sally plops down beside me on the ground and cuddles the furs and blankets. Yeah, you should have seen Helda and Terox's faces. It's the funny thing ever. Mellymora smashed the mirror in the bathroom from getting so mad. Wow! Didn't know the shattering could bring out such violence in people. Sally winning every game shows a good mind. I wrap my arm around her and bring her in close. She lays her head on my chest and takes a deep breath, exhaling it slowly and getting into a relaxed state. I was hoping that you'd come and join the fun, but I can tell that you preferred to stay here. She knows me too well. I'm to list off reasons why. Just not wanting to do it is enough. My eyes slowly close, and I find a peace in me that I haven't felt in many years. A true calmness that I didn't know I could ever have again. Get some sleep, Sally. I know it'll be hard with what we're doing tomorrow. I know that I need sleep for some focus. The plan is finished, and we'll be playing our roles tomorrow. Sally and I are heading to the Orvalo estate. Everyone else is heading towards the palace using the underground passageways. Getting an easy way inside. Sarah, I know it's late, but can we please do it? I raise my head in surprise and look down at her. I need a way to relax my body and mind, and it's been a while since we got to have that intimacy. I didn't expect to be asked that. We had already stopped once since there were people in this house that could hear us. That depends on if you can be quiet or not. 'Cause I don't want people complaining in the morning. Sally has gained significant confidence over the last day. More than I thought she ever could. Her being so forward with me and not beating around the bush is a good idea. She slowly crawls up my body until our noses are touching. Her blonde elven hair falls on all sides of me like a golden waterfall. I can't make any promises, but I don't think I can sleep tonight with it. She closes the distance between our lips as her whispers end. The gentle connection between our lips meeting is enough to convince me. My daughters are lost to me, they're out of my reach now. My scouts and troops couldn't find anything that could put a trail to where they were taken by their captures. The last bit of love in my heart dies with their kidnapping, and now my resolve to purge the impure among our people burns hotter than ever before. My daughter's involvement in my plans was integral, and now that they're gone, I have to readjust. The half-breeds and mixed bloods among my people will be culled out starting tomorrow. My queen, all the troops and nobles are ready for your orders tomorrow. There is nothing left to prepare for. My military advisor informs me of the state of things. There are countless things that need to be done when this culling begins, and the blood of the impure and mixed with wash away in the streets. Giving birth to a new elven people. One that knows only superiority and blood purity. Good, you may leave. I must be alone. My advisor lowers his head and exits my office. I stand up and head for the door leading to another part of my office, and as I open it, I see the knowledge of everything left by my ancestors. The royal library and all the questions I've ever needed answered are from these bookshelves. You don't know what you're doing, the damage that you'll cause. My attention is taken from a voice identical to my own. I turn and look into a mirror, and I see a different version of myself. One that tried to control my actions, but because of her weakness has lost everything she's ever loved. Speak for yourself, coward. I'm doing what's needed. Something that you never knew how to do. Some would claim that I've lost my mind, but I've never been clearer. She adopts a sad expression and looks at the locket around her neck. One that was stolen from me a long time ago. I've fallen so far to think that there will be nothing left of the Elven Kingdom after you. I hope you rot in the deepest parts of the underworld. Her voice shifts into hollow anger. It's haunting to hear a version of yourself say that. It's not enough to discourage me in the slightest. She rips the locket off her neck and tosses it to the ground. Locking eyes with me again. There is nothing more to be said. You'll never change. You're better off dead. Something that's coming, but you're too blinded to see. I take no value from her words. She closes her eyes, and she fades away. I blink, and all I see is myself in the mirror now. Free from the constant bother of the husk of my former self. Alessandra is sleeping next to me, but I keep being reawakened from the same nightmare over and over again. Mom being killed on her throne, and Greshina burning like nothing ever before. A great calamity is coming to Greshina. I feel like that they're just nightmares, though Dad would always tell me to listen to my dreams, they could be insights into the future. He and I shared a bond that I can't put into words. I was shattered the day he died, not as badly as Mom was. She changed after that. She became a heartless tyrant only concerned with what all nobles concern themselves with. I hope that Father is looking down on us now and cheering for us to escape. He was a compassionate king. I hoped to rule like him, but Mom made sure that was never going to happen. For a long time, I agreed with her. But after seeing all the pain and death the innocent of our people suffer from, I couldn't anymore. I couldn't ignore it. Running away was the best decision Alessandra and I could have ever made. It's our only way to a good life. She shifts beside me, and I can only hope she isn't having the same nightmares as me. When we were kids, she would have the same dreams as me. We would wake up in bed, screaming for our daddy. He'd always come rushing. I remember the first night that he didn't. That pain still pierces my heart, but I've learned to deal with that kind of pain. Chapter 410, Judgment 1. A steady breath escapes my lips as I open my eyes. I look around at the ceiling, and I take a moment to gather my thoughts. My left side is occupied by Sally, and we're stuck together by a thin line of sweat. Once I lean up, she peels off me and rolls on her side, turning her back to me and taking the blankets with her. I pull up my menu as I stand up. I equip my gear, and I make my way towards the door. I'm probably the only one up at this time, but that just gives me some extra time to myself. Making my way to the living room as quietly as I can doesn't go so well. The natural creaking of the house makes it hard to move silently. I take a seat on the ratty couch, and dust is kicked off. My mind is clear, and my conscience even more. Sally getting sleep means she put today's monumental task aside and got some sleep. It's an important thing to do. After today, the Elven Kingdom will be free. But more importantly, Sally would have had her revenge, and will move to bigger places that I need to handle. The Kingdom of Avalon is on my mind right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing the kingdom made for players again this life. Didn't think you'd be up yet. Helda walks into the living room and stands in front of me. Not after what all the noise coming from your room indicated. Thought you guys would never go to sleep. We didn't do it for that long. It was 10:30 when we stopped. She sighs and takes a seat next to me. Running a hand through her hair and leaning her head against the torn couch behind her neck. Sally is still asleep. I'm not someone with the best sleep schedule. Being up this early is something I'm used to. Helda isn't the most talkative person, but she's come to trust me and I, her. You could even say we're friends. There are plenty of things that her group has to handle getting into the palace, and it's far more difficult than what Sally and myself are doing. Normally, I'd ask if you think Sally is ready for this. But not anymore. She has the confidence needed to make this happen. Yeah, I'd be a bit worried. That was before she gained the confidence needed in a form of independence from my power. I have no doubt she's going to inflict every transgression she's suffered tenfold because of her family. I'm not a normal person, I have a streak of bloodthirstiness, and some people hate that about me. The ones that know. I think it's one of my best qualities. It allows me to be what I need to be. How long do you think it'll take you guys? That's all up to Sally. She's going to want to take her time and make sure they feel some of the pain she's had to live with. Nothing will stop us, and while thinking like that is dangerous, it's true. Longer than what you're planning. Sally probably intends to make them suffer. If you do need help, Haley will be there. My sister is the strongest person I know. Right behind me. Melimora and I are leading everyone towards the palace. Sarah and Sally are the only ones that aren't here right now. Remember your roles, everyone. Haley and Jasmine will be killing important nobles. Leela and Freskra will be taking out every guard possible. Melly, Ashburn, and I will face the Queen in the throne room. This is the basics of our plan. There are multiple moving parts, but if everyone does what they're supposed to do, then nothing will go wrong. Do you think the Queen will give you any problems? You're strong, Helda. But Queen Orizox holds a legacy class. I don't like being asked this. It's a little insulting, but there is nothing I can do about it. I'll give it my best, but she's dying today no matter what. Terox is the only one that isn't here right now, given how we decided she wasn't strong enough in combat to really benefit anyone on this side. So she's staying back and is only supposed to come and help if we need it. That depends, Haley. If the rumors about her power are true, then I don't see myself winning without help, but I'm still doing it. My pride gets in the way sometimes. There isn't anything I can do in regards to suppressing my pride. I've already done it enough to get over my issues with T.A.W. Jasmine and I will hit our targets fast and hard. I want to be available if you do need my help in the end. She's trying to be nice, and I know that. It just sucks being thought of as not strong enough. It's one of the worst things. My life and struggles have meant little to me. In the sense that I didn't think I was born for some greater purpose. I can't help thinking that this is destiny. That this is something that was written before anyone in my family was born. Don't worry about us. You two need to make sure you do a good job. All the most important nobles stay in the palace. Other than the Orvalos. Sally and Sarah are on their way towards the Orvalo estate right about now. Probably discussing a plan of attack. Reviewing information and guard patrol patterns. An all-out assault against the Orvalos will draw way too much attention too fast. So they're going at it slow. A smart move, in my opinion. Something we have done traveling through this passageway. Melimora didn't have to stand up for me like that. Haley isn't bothered by it, and neither is Jasmine. The guards in the palace are the strongest the elven military has to offer. While we're all stronger than them individually, that doesn't mean we're invincible. Haley won't have any problems. The rest of us will if we face them in large numbers. Sarah stands at my side silently, and we both haven't spoken in a few minutes. Mainly from us trying to think of the best approach without making a loud approach. I know of a way to do this quick and hard, but we'll need to wait until the attack on the palace starts. He speaks out of nowhere, and while I don't want to wait that long, I know he's good at plans. Hearing out what he wants to do is easy. So I turn to him and give him a look for an explanation. When the palace is attacked, all forces will move to defend it. Meaning, at the moment the guards start to move, I'll toggle my wings and divine title on. All the while deactivating my potion's effects and becoming human again. That's a pretty good plan, and I like it. When he activates his divine title, everyone in the area will be notified through an announcement from the church. The chaos will cause an opening for us and the others that will attack the palace. I'm fine doing it this way, but when we meet, my family let me do all the talking. He nods his head a single time, and we go back to looking at the estate.